Hello, and welcome to Flip the Coin onto its edge. I'm your host, Michael Papa Newton. In this episode, we will finish the tale of the Fisher King. Enjoy it and imagine it like a dream you have. The human psyche has long been my most profound fascination. While the scientific study of it began in the 1880s, humans have been exploring the mysteries of what it means to be a man, a woman, a couple, and every stage of the human journey for thousands of years. Their explorations weren't limited to the laboratories. No, they were woven into mythological stories passed down through generations. Their tales filled with gods and titans and fantastical creatures that ignite the imagination, featured characters embodying the very traits we recognize in ourselves. These mythic heroes faced challenges, overcame weaknesses, and navigated life's dilemmas. Stories that stirred our deepest emotions and offered solutions for struggles, inspiring us to confront our own in the process. Embark with me on a thrilling voyage into a mystical realm of ancient mythology. Through the lens of mythology, we will explore human behavior to uncover the secrets behind our actions at different ages and delve into the depths of our psyche. Together, we will gain profound insights about ourselves and those around us. Learn like the ancients through captivating stories and modern day analysis, much like deciphering dreams. Fear not and trust the path before you. On this journey, you may uncover why you acted a certain way in the past, understand your present behavior, or even glimpse the mysteries that lie ahead. The adventure awaits. Let's begin our quest. This tale and the analysis comes from Robert A. Johnson's book, He. We left Parsifal after he had spent a year with Gornemont. After these instructions, Parsifal suddenly remembers his mother and goes in search for her again. So off he goes to hunt for his mother. He finds that soon after he left her, she died of a broken heart. You remember her name was Heart Sorrow. Naturally, Parsifal feels dreadfully guilty about his mother's death. With Parsifal's search for his mother, he finds instead Blanchefleur, which means white flower, and comes into awareness of the highest motivation of his life before the Grail encounter. Blanchefleur is in distress, and her castle is under siege. She implores Parsifal to rescue her kingdom. Obeying that profound law, a man knows not his strength until it is needed. He frees her domain of the intruders. He does this by searching out the second in command of the besieging army, dueling heroically with him, sparing his life at the last moment, and sending him in fealty to the court of King Arthur. He repeats this with the first in command. After raising the siege from her castle, Parsifal returns to spend one night with Blanchefleur. We are given a detailed account of how they slept together in the most intimate embrace, head to head, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, knee to knee, toe to toe. But the embrace was chaste and worthy of the knight's vow that he never seduce or be seduced by a fair maiden, a vow he must keep if he is to win a vision of the Grail. Our story goes on. Parsifal has traveled all day in his heroic quest, and at nightfall asks someone if there is a lodge or tavern anywhere nearby where he can spend the night. He is informed that there is no habitation within 30 miles. A little later, Parsifal finds a man in a boat fishing on a lake. He asks the man if there is any place to stay the night. The fisherman, who is the Fisher King, invites him to his humble abode. Just go down the road a little way, turn left, cross the drawbridge. Parsifal does this, and the drawbridge snaps shut just as he crosses it and takes the back hooves of his horse. It is very dangerous to enter into the Grail Castle. Parsifal finds himself in the keep of a great castle, where 4 youths take his horse, bathe him, give him fresh clothing, and lead him to the master of the castle, the Fisher King. The king apologizes for being unable to rise from his litter and greet Parsifal properly due to his wound. The whole court of the castle, 400 knights and ladies, is there to greet Parsifal, and a wonderful ceremony takes place. The Fisher King lies groaning in agony on his litter. One fair maiden carries in the lance that pierced the side of Christ. Another fair maiden brings the paten from which the Last Supper was served. And finally, a third maiden brings in the Holy Grail itself. A great banquet is held, and everyone is given what they wish from the Grail or the paten, even before they formulate a wish. Everyone, that is, except the Fisher King. Because his wound, he is unable to drink from the Grail, and his suffering is the worst because of this deprivation. The Fisher King's niece brings a sword, which the king straps to Parsifal's waist. This sword is to be Parsifal's for the rest of his life. Another gift is available at the Grail Castle, but Parsifal does not pass the test required for this. Gornamon instructed Parsifal during his training that when he found the Grail, he was to ask a specific question: whom does the Grail serve? If this question is asked, the blessings of that great cornucopia of light, the Grail, will pour out its blessing. Without the question, one may drink from the Grail, but its great bounty will not flow out. Though Gornamon had instructed him in this question, Parsifal's mother had told him when he was leaving her not to ask too many questions. His mother's advice prevails, and Parsifal stands mute. There was a legend in the Grail Castle that one day an innocent fool would wander into the castle, ask the Grail question, and thus heal the wounded Fisher King. Everyone in the castle, except Parsifal, knows this legend and watches keenly to see if Parsifal, who has all the attributes of an innocent fool, will ask the healing question. But Parsifal does not ask, and the Fisher King is soon taken, groaning and writhing in agony, to his chamber. The other knights and ladies disperse, and Parsifal is soon escorted to his sleeping chamber by the 4 youths. Next morning, Parsifal awakens to find himself alone. He saddles his horse and crosses the drawbridge, which snaps, ticking the back hooves of his horse. and is back in the ordinary world. He comes upon a sorrowful maiden holding her dead lover in her arms. She explains tearfully that her knight lover was killed by another knight in a rage over something Parsifal had done in one of his earlier naive escapades. Parsifal has to bear the guilt of this. The maiden asks Parsifal where he has been, and when he tells her, she rebukes him, saying, "There is no habitation within 30 miles." He describes his experiences in detail, and she replies, "Oh, you have been in the Grail Castle." She asks Parsifal his name. Though we have been using his name, Parsifal, the word has not actually appeared in the text until this moment. "Parsifal," he blurts out. Parsifal goes on to another weeping damsel, who has also suffered much through some naive mischance from his earlier travel. This damsel informs Parsifal that his sword will break the first time he uses it, and that it can be mended only by him who forged it originally. Once repaired, it will never break again. Parsifal conquers many knights, sends them back to Arthur's court, rescues many fair damsels, lifts sieges, protects the poor, slays dragons. Parsifal's fame has come back to Arthur's court, and the king sets out to find this great hero in his land. Parsifal is the greatest knight in the world, just as the maiden who had not laughed for 7 years indicated. Arthur vows not to sleep 2 nights in the same bed until he has found this wonderful hero, the flower of his realm. A curious experience comes to Parsifal, just at this moment. He is wondering about one of his night's journeys when a falcon attacks 3 geese in the air. 3 drops of blood from one of them falls onto the snow near Parsifal, and he drifts into a lover's trance at the sight. He is transfixed by the 3 drops of blood and can think of nothing but Blanchefleur. King Arthur's men find him in this immobile state, and 2 of them tried to lead him to Arthur's court. He fights them off, breaking the arm of one. He is the knight who had jeered when the maiden laughed in Arthur's court. Parsifal had vowed to avenge her for this scorn. This vow is now completed. Gawain, a third knight, asks Parsifal gently and humbly if he will come to Arthur's court, and Parsifal agrees. Parsifal has conquered so many knights and sent them to Arthur's court that he has grown famous in the Arthurian world. Now Arthur and his court set forth to find this elusive man of power and search the countryside for him. They find Parsifal one day, set him at the head of the court, and declare a 3-day festival and tournament in his honor. At the very height of the 3-day festivities, a most hideous damsel appears and puts an instant damper on all the celebration. She is on a decrepit old mule that limped on all 4 feet. The damsel's black hair was trussed in 2 braids. Iron dark were her hands and nails, her closed eyes small like a rat's, her nose like an ape and cat, her lips like an ass and bull. Bearded she was, hump breast, and back, her loins and shoulders twisted like roots of a tree. She recites all Parsifal's sins and stupidities, the worst being his failure to ask the healing question in the Grail Castle. Parsifal is humbled and left silent before the court that only a moment before had been praising him to the sky. This harbinger of darkness accomplishes a profoundly important act of individuation in the court. She parcels out tasks to each of the knights present, each task an individual quest for each knight. Before this moment in evolution, all tasks were communal tasks. That is, knights went out in groups, or at least in pairs, to fight a dragon or lift a siege from a castle. After the visit of the hideous damsel, all tasks are individual and unique. Each knight has to go alone, find his own path, make a solitary battle in his quest. From the hideous damsel, Parcel learns that his task in this new dispensation is to find the Grail Castle a second time. He vows he will not sleep twice in the same bed until he finds the visionary world again. The hideous damsel reminds the court that the search for the Grail requires chastity of the knights, and then she limps off, her task accomplished. Parsifal spends many years, most of the legends say 20, on his knightly adventures. He grows more bitter, more disillusioned. He grows farther away from his beloved Blanchefleur. He forgets why he wields his sword in his knight's journey. Parsifal comes upon a bag of ragged pilgrims who are wandering on the road. They say to him, "What are you doing riding in full armor on this day, the day of the death of our Lord? Don't you know it is Good Friday? Come with us to the forest hermit, say your confession, and be shriven in preparation for Easter Sunday." Parsifal is suddenly wakened from his dark reverie and, more from inertia than inspiration, goes with the pilgrims to the old hermit. When Parsifal is with the hermit, he finds another experience, much like his exchange with the hideous damsel. Before Parsifal speaks a word, the old hermit, with his clairvoyant quality, berates him with the long list of his faults and failures. Again, the worst was his failure to ask the healing question when he was in the Grail Castle. The hermit quickly grows gentle with Parsifal and takes him to the road with the instruction to go a short way, turn left, and cross the drawbridge. Parsifal just goes down the road, turns left, crosses the drawbridge, which snaps closed, ticking the back boobs of his horse. Parsifal finds the same ceremonial procession going on. A fair damsel carries the sword that pierced the side of Christ. Another damsel carries a paten from which the Last Supper was served. Yet another maiden bears the Grail itself. The wounded Fisher King lies groaning on his litter, poised between life and death in his suffering. Now, wonder of wonders, with 20 years of maturity and experience behind him, Parsifal asks the question which is his greatest contribution to mankind. Whom does the Grail serve? No sooner is the question asked than the answer comes reverberating through the Grail Castle halls. The Grail serves the Grail King. The wounded, the wounded Fisher King rises, healed in triumph and joy. The miracle has happened, and the legend of his healing has been accomplished. Parsifal needed only ask the question. He does not have to answer it. Rejoicing bursts forth in the Grail Castle. The Grail is brought forth. It gives its food to everyone, including the now healed Fisher King. And there is perfect peace, joy, and well-being. That's all we have time for today, my friend. Thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it and will join us again soon. In this episode, we concluded the epic tale of the Fisher King. Next time, I'll share specific segments from the story and delve into its meaning, much like uncovering the secrets of a dream. Tune in for an immersive journey into its deeper message. Remember, I encourage you to test what you hear here yourself to see if it truly resonates with you. Belief can often be accompanied by doubt, but the real secret to success lies in knowing the laws of life, not just believing in them. When you take the time to explore these laws and principles, your understanding deepens. Keep an open mind to new ideas, as this will help you better understand and evaluate what you're learning. Tap the button to follow our podcast. Looking forward to having you back for more insights soon. Remember, God woke you up this morning for a reason. Now go out and find out why.